Hello everybody, and I hope everybody is okay. But I wasn't the only one. You're probably aware of the fact that in the past week, the south of the United States had some horrible heat. Now the north and northeast has some. I mean, areas where it's like the kingdom of winter now have over 100 heat indexes. So yeah, it's not been easy. Hi Renia, and as you know, this is why I had last Sunday I couldn't do a lot of stuff. Hi Donna. So let me welcome you, and finally we will do the Dahlia brooch, and if the time allows, that means if my back doesn't start messing up, I will show you a preview of a tutorial that's in the works and you should get next week. It's also about flowers, and the importance of having this kind of tools. Hi Anna. Yeah, Anna is in Arizona, so it's awful for her. Anyway, so as I said last time, and I gave the links to a few of my former videos on how to make the base. Go to bed. Go to bed. Told you this is the thing that drives me nuts about Whisper. And don't get me wrong, I loved him to pieces, but he's got this thing the moment, let's say that I am in pain. I did a lot of stuff. I am in pain. I go to lay down on the couch. I find the perfect position to not hurt. That is when he comes and wants something. Right now, I've been in here working on my Dahlia petals and everything. Everything was fine. Before I started the live, I made sure that he has food, that he has water, and I let him go out. The moment I started the transmission, he came here to want something. So, yeah, it's senility. Hi Cecile. Hi Beth. Hi Judy. Hi Ellen. So yeah, I did the base in black because I thought it's the best thing to do. You can make it in any other color you want. I even don't realize how the heck did I put this. Where is the opening part? This is the opening part. Sorry. Remember when I got the cataract surgery, I gave up seeing close up for seeing far away. Hi Chris. Hi Isabel. Oh, I am so sorry, Isabel. Where are you? Oh my goodness, I wasn't aware that there's bad stuff going on. Hold on. Let me see. Did you get Aaron Tuttle's app? Because that's the best app you can have about tornadoes. That is your best thing ever. It's gonna tell you exactly what's the risk, how far it is, and all that. Also, you're in around Chicago, Detroit, by what I can see. Hold on. Let me show you what I'm looking at. So here I see, but I don't see any tornado warning, at least not yet. But yeah, the app's name is 80s Weather to Go, and it was made by one of the best weather people. Oh, I saw that there's some in, but I don't see a weather tornado warning yet. It should work. I would think it still works, even if it's outside the US. Okay. But tornado warning in Canada. I know that you guys do have some tornadoes, but it kind of sounds so out of this. Okay. Yeah, remember, I don't know how much you get there about severe weather, but as a former employee of the State Emergency Management Department, I can tell you, go towards the center of your house if you don't have a tornado shelter, and I presume that in Canada you don't really have that. to the center of the house as much as you can, in a room that has just a door, doesn't like a closet but an interior closet, and make sure that you have something heavy to cover yourself with, like a blanket. I mean, here in Oklahoma, people have weathered tornadoes in bathtubs and survived them, even if they were taken by the tornado in their bathtub. But I don't think that you have. I think that the number of severe tornadoes in Canada is very low. But yeah, as I was saying, the huge heat wave. Anyway, let's get back to this. So I put links for this on the tutorial where I made the poppy brooch. I know that I made several poppy brooches. I made one for my sponsors, and I made one for public, and then I made a few more. I think that the rose brooch, I made it on this one too. Hi Elaine. Hi Natalia, I didn't see you. Sorry, it's the thing of it kind of covers a little bit. Okay, so once we have this made, and what I did sand it, and I did buff just very, very lightly, because I didn't want to put too much buffing in here, because I was thinking I'm going to put something here no matter what. And you can leave it black like this, or you can put some, I would suggest to use a Sculpey, even if normally I don't use much the Sculpey varnish because it's not very good quality, but the Sculpey varnish you can bake and rebake and rebake. So you can put a little bit of Sculpey varnish if you want this to be much shinier, but you don't really need to. Now, as in everything, and again, I'm going to say this again, I said that at the beginning of this whole Dahlia and Flower series, this is not a tutorial that is masterclass. This is a tutorial, like most of my tutorials and most of my live tutorials, it is for people who are only in the beginning or intermediate level of practice with polymer clay, to make something that is acceptably realistic and it's still pretty, so without feeling overwhelmed and worried that they wouldn't be able to do it. And because a lot of people, when they begin polymer clay, they don't dare to go forward because it seems so intimidating. Some of these things seem so intimidating, and they are not. And you don't have to go for a masterclass type of final product. You can still do a beautiful professional looking object, be it jewelry, be it decorative or whatever, without having a ton of knowledge when it comes to a polymer clay. So as I said, I hope I made enough petals. If not, I'm gonna just make a few more with you here. And I made them of different sizes because as the Dahlia flower, you know, towards the middle you have smaller petal, towards the edges you have larger petals. But before starting anything else, I'm going to first do the middle. Yeah, I cannot cut with the ruler. And a lot of people have asked me about this ruler. If you look, I think it's in the miscellaneous or in the tools in my Amazon influencer store, and I'm going to put the link to the store again, so that you can look. And remember, if you I have a fairly extensive influencer store, and if you want to help me with getting my materials and all that, if you, whenever you have to go on Amazon to buy something, if you go through my store, your price will not go up, but I make a few cents off of everything. Another thing is that you don't have to buy necessarily from my Amazon influencer store, especially if you're from abroad, if you're not in the US. But I also put in my Amazon influencer store various tools and materials that I use, so at least you know what to look for in your own country, or if you find it somewhere else cheaper. And you'll see that my store is fairly nicely, I try to organize it as well as I could. Let me see if I put it in tools. Yes, it is in tools. I have several. I have 3 different types of rulers, and the one that I have is the one that's for $7. And you get this one and one that's almost double, and it's like 12 inches, I think. This one is 6, and you get one that's almost double. But that's where I put most of my of the stuff that I use, and some alternatives. If you aren't able to find that exact thing, you can find some alternatives. And don't forget to buy, now that we got to this, don't forget to get something like this. It's just a plain fingernail brush, but what you have to be careful, and this is why I put this specific one in the store. Most of them, the cheapo plastic ones, the bristles are too flexible and you do not get the same effect with them, because these you use, generally speaking, for ancient metal effect, for some leather effects, and some other things. You just use it to do like this. And you can use a hard bristled toothbrush, but with the toothbrush, the thing is that it's kind of hard to find them nowadays to be completely even. Usually they have that thing like this to reach better between teeth. But yeah, this is something that you want to have. If you find in the store cheapo plastic ones, because the plastic ones are around $1, this one is $7, go ahead and buy one, but make sure that you check the bristles. Okay, so let's get back to this. What I want to do first is to create my little nugget, because let's get actually a little dahlia. I'm going to get a little dahlia here, and the dahlias are of various kinds. You get the, let me get the display captioning. You get the ones that are like this, and that's not something that we want. I mean, you can go ahead and try and do one like this. It's going to be just fine. But the one that we are going to do will be the more common one. Something like this, or something like this. It's easier to achieve than this one. Let me try and find one that's more. And you don't want to go what I went for. I went for the ones that are more common, not the special ones, the ones that have like beautiful lace-like things, you know, like this. I mean, you can do something like that, but I thought that for a brooch, a dahlia, you know, this is the one that I was talking about, that's got the very lacy-like. You can go for something like this, of course, if you want. But what I wanted to go for was something like this. If you can see it, or let me try and find another one. Something like this. Only that I went for, when we did the Skinner blend, I went for a simple Skinner blend with the bottom of the petal being more pinkish and the top of the petal being more lighter pink, right? So it will be somewhere like this. you can do, and I will show you how you can do more variation and how you can make it look even more realistic. I think that this would be the best to use. But we'll just go ahead and start working on it. Okay, have a good Sunday with the grandkids. So what I'm going to do first is to do the thing in the very middle where all the petals start blooming out of, because as the dahlia is like this, the petals start going like this, and as they grow towards the edge they grow bigger, and you have the small ones in the center. So considering my largest petals are like this, that's why I got this out, right? Because I made them considering my base, my brooch base. I want my flower to be pretty much kind of like the diameter of the flower to be the length of the base. And another thing, don't forget, when you place the brooch pin, place it a little bit on, not in the very middle, because if the brooch is in any way, and I'm going to close it because that's how we're gonna work with it, if the brooch is in any way heavier and the pin is in the middle, the weight of the brooch will make it sit like this, so the back will be kind of visible and the brooch will face a little bit downwards, so people who look at you will not get the beauty of the brooch. This is why if you put your brooch pin a little bit towards the top of the brooch, even if the brooch is a little heavier, it will still not go like this. So this is considering this would be your chest, right? So you want your brooch to stay flush on your chest, not to start bowing out. So this is how much will be, this is half of my dahlia diameter, but it's a little bit more than half, less than half, because I'm going to have something in the middle here. So this is what I'm considering. And also you need to check on your smaller petals. Let me grab a tiny petal. But of course I'm not going to do that middle just with bunching a whole bunch of petals together. No, there's a way to do it much easier. So I'm going to cut. This is just simply the plug of my Skinner blend, and I'm going to make it roundish. I'm just pushing it in until it gets almost bead-like, and then I am going to roll it like a bead. Hi Jessica, hi Laura Lynn, hi Martina. Okay, so I have it now like a bead. Again, I must roll it more because I have folding lines. So let's get rid of those folding lines. And I'm going to actually get my petals a little bit out of the way so I can expand myself. Alright, so, and I'm going to also refocus so you can see better what I'm doing. There we go. So I have this now, and it's going to be with the top the lightest and the bottom the more pinkish. And of course, if you want to do anything in terms of more realistic, you can add a little bit of powder, like chalk pastels or pan pastels, or the artisan powders, Franco Garcia, or even mica powders. It depends if you want to your brooch to be more realistic, if you want to add a touch of jewelry like to it. It all depends on what you want to do. So this would be the very middle of the dahlia, and of course I didn't check ahead of time to make sure that I have what I need here. Give me just a second, I need to get something from And absolutely, you could do another Skinner blend for this, because if you saw in all those photos I've shown you, the middle has, depending on the color of the dahlia, it will still have like a yellowish greenish tinge. So you want to start with it being slightly ovaloid, not completely round. Hi Gayleen. And then you can use these, you can use this is just a cuticle thing, but you can also use the linoleum carvers for this, and you have larger ones and smaller ones, and these are fairly cheap to buy. Thank you, Donna. So if you don't have this and you have a cuticle cutter, you can use the cuticle cutter, and I'll show you on both of this how to do. And what we want to do at this point is first, of course, make sure that we don't have any dots on it, and you can clean it fairly nicely with alcohol. And then get it a little bit more here. I'm still getting some dots, it's fine. Okay, and then start carving some petals. So I'm not going to start from the very middle, because if I start from the very middle, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, but I'm going to consider like a circle like this in the middle, and I'm going to start carving petals. Oops, this wasn't good. And on this, the good part is that you can keep remaking it into a, this one is not very, it's kind of dull, hold on. You can keep remaking the bead if you're not doing it properly. Okay, let's try this other one, because that one is kind of dull. I should have cooled it down. This doesn't work. No, I guess this set is not that terrific. I just carved with it dry baked clay, so I guess I messed it up. This one's not working. I guess I messed up my linoleum carver. Oh well. I'm gonna have to. Yes, you can sharpen it if you want to. I'm gonna just use the cuticle cutter. Okay. because essentially what you want to show is the idea that there's a bunch of petals here. Cuticle cutter is not very big, and I would normally use it just for the inside petals. But at least it's sharper than. Oops. All right, that wasn't a good thing. Yeah, it's a little warm because I worked with it, so it got warm. Oh, come on, stay there. Now, once you get to this point, what you want to do is to scoop out the top. You don't want to do that before. What you want to get at this point, just scoop up the top, cut it off, and then you can continue messing up. Remember, it's one of those. Sometimes I can show you how it's done without a problem, but I cannot really do it myself. I'm trying to keep it in the. And you just keep going around, continue to. And you will get something similar to the middle of that. Dahlia. Now that you got it, go back to the bottom, pinch a little bit, and then cut. And then you'll have to go back and extend these petals a little. Don't cut them out, just extend them. And I said I was going to show you how to use the powder to make it look better. This I can cover this little place where I messed up with the petal. Okay, so this should be pretty much it. You can just work it a little bit more, but it's going to give you the effect of. Hi, Marietta. Okay, let me grab real quick some chalk pastel. And this is a more expensive one, but it's not made anymore. And remember, I said many times, you can get any cheap chalk pastel. Just make sure that it says soft, because the ones that aren't soft, they will not give a very good, but they don't cling to the clay that good. To get some paper so I don't mess up my table. Sometimes it can be a little hard to. Okay, so let's grab some yellow, light yellow. And some very light, more like lime green. Alrighty. And now I'm going to grab a paintbrush, and I want one that's fairly longish. And let me grab a little bit of green that I'm going to put here. Don't go too much towards the bottom because you won't be able to stick the petals there anymore. Now remember that in the Skinner blend there is also translucent and there's also pearlescent to give the real beautiful effect of flowers. So I'm going to put a little bit more greenish in the very bottom, in the very center, and then grab some yellow and get it on the you can just very slightly powder this, but this is pretty much what you should end up with. Now we can start placing some petals, and of course I'm going to start with the small ones, and I'm going to place a few that are going to be very close to the where I said I was going to cover a mess up here. So the dark pink goes at the bottom, right? So I'm placing one right here. And then let me get another small one. And the thing is that if they are too long, you can just simply get them a little bit. Let me get it towards the inside. You can get them more out because this you can break. You don't have to keep it there. It's another small one. Oops, sorry. What? Yes, it's hot in Oklahoma, Krista. That's where I am too. I was starting to say that Friday I had a horrible day because we had, at least here in Oklahoma City, there was a huge, not huge, but fairly high humidity. And it was around, I think, maybe 2 o'clock, and that I went outside to take the trash to the trash bin. So I don't think I breathed more than like 3 or 4 times, and it felt like I was breathing hot steam. It was actually painful. And I was talking to one of my best friends on the phone who also lives in Oklahoma, but on the other side of town. And she was talking about the same thing that she had, and it was something in the air also allergy-wise, because I had my eyes instantly started getting watery. Okay, now the other trick for the Dahlia, and you have to be very careful when you make it, and you can use like a knitting needle, or you can use this tool from the, and I will hold a giveaway for these uh, kits. You want to go like this, and then you put it on. And of course, if you want to go even more on this, you can actually make, also using this, you can make some lines. But dahlia flowers usually don't have a lot of veining on their petals. But of course, you need to do the and also they are not, except for the big ones that I showed you in the beginning, and I said I'm not going to show you how to do one of those, is most of the regular dahlias do not really have a certain proportion, a certain number of petals, a certain, it's quite random, so it's fairly easy to create. And I'm not going to bother about the bottoms until I get a little bit more ahead, where I'm going to cut some more of the base, because you don't want your flower to be popping up too much from the brooch. You kind of want the base of it to be cut out, so it will be fairly flattish. See right here? And from time to time you need to cut it off very gently. Don't press here, just hold. And this way it will sit properly. Okay, let me prepare some of these already so I can get them fast. Small, small, small. Oops. But you don't forget to always place the dark pink at the bottom, not at the top. Thank you. Okay, I don't like this very much. No, this is not good to shine. Oops. Yeah, I don't like this petal. It's ugly. But as I said, I made quite a few petals, so it would be a nice and rich flower, not a daisy. And can you do like this with zinnias? Yes, and I have a tutorial almost ready for you in this style, but you also have to use a certain I mean, you can do from scratch the middle of a zinnia or of a gerbera or of a daisy, but what I want to show you is that there is something that works perfectly. So I'm just getting my smaller ones ready, and this is pretty much how you're supposed to work on it, so you don't have to handle it more than necessary. So you don't mess up the petals too much with fingerprints and the like. Okay, now I can go ahead and place some more. I'm going to try and place them in between the other ones. Again, I don't care that they are longer than they should be, because I'm going to come back and cut all that area. Just keep attaching them. Yeah, it's coming up pretty. Night, Cecile. Yeah, it's kind of late. It's what, 7 o'clock in France, something like that, in the evening. Let's get the next size. Oops, this one. The next size up. And we'll keep the large ones, the largest petals, for last. And then I'll have also to show you how to bake it so it won't mess up while it's baking, so that the petals don't droop and all that. And again, always place try to go a little bit a little bit tiered on the petals, but as you saw in the regular common dahlias, you might have in the same level of petal. Yes, you can actually add some essential oil in the clay to start with. Always avoid the citrusy essential oils, because I tried for over a year essential oils on polymer clay. I mean, the testing went to like 18 months, and they are just fine. The only ones that kind of caused a little bit of breaking up of the polymer clay was the anything citrusy, lemon, tangerine. So I think you can get, if you find some plumeria or gardenia, you can add that directly into the clay, and whenever your brooch heats up a little bit, if you're in the sun or something like that, it's going to start actually emitting a scent. And at this point you start coming up a little bit away from the center as you place your petals. If you think you might mess up the middle, first bake the middle and then start adding the petals, because that way you'll be able to press a little bit against it without messing it up, until you get to be able to handle this without messing it up. Oops. So see how I'm coming out a little bit with the petals, so that they don't get lost. Oops. Not here, here. Hey. Okay, and now the largest ones, and we are pretty much done. All it's left is to place it on the, I don't like this one either, to place it on the brooch base. And after it's baked, of course, you can place on the brooch, you can make the brooch textured, you can do all kinds of things. You can make it goldish, you can cover it with gold leaf, and then you can apply that scalpy glaze over the gold leaf. You can just put metallic wax on it. And then you're pretty. So all the time consuming part of this is just making the petals. I mean, the Skinner blend takes a little bit to make, and then just cutting the petals is a little time consuming. And if you don't have a cutter, I'll show you after I finish this how to actually cut just using your X-Acto knife. And this one seems to be a little bit too floppy. And one more. All right, now let's apply it to the base. And for this, what I'm going to do, remember that I always do whenever I'm supposed to attach raw clay to baked clay, I like to kind of put a little bit of a buffer, an extra buffer, especially when you cannot handle much this thing. Let me first get it in a bead, and then flatten it quite a bit. Oops, oh, sorry for that. And then I'm going to add a little bit of the bacon bond on this, apply it on here. You might want to let it be for a few seconds so it would not start sliding around. And this has to be fairly thin. You can even flatten it some more on here. And then I'm going to apply some more. Will it hold? It will hold just fine, trust me. And then we take the flower and we place it here. And now it's going to have to be a little bit pressed in, so I'm going to use this you can push on here, because afterwards you can get it again sculpted a little bit better. So right now it's pushed in there perfectly. So what I'm going to do, if you have this already baked, you won't have to worry when pushing in. So I'm just doing more of the petals here to cover my pushing in. But yeah, pretty much this is it. Now if you want to add some more stuff to it, you can add a little bit of pink or red. Again, chalk pastels, but you can just leave it like this, it will be just fine. I'll show you how to do the chalk pastels nevertheless. And I'm going to use a more pinkish fuchsia kind of thing. Where's my, there it is. But this time what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab a very delicate paintbrush because I want to go in. You can do this before placing the petals, only that you'll have to use also a little bit of Bacon Bond. In Sugarcraft, all you use is simply the water thing to make things stick. I'm going to go just in the middle of them. Petals. Okay, I wasn't supposed to go in here. This is just for extra. You don't have to do it. I just wanted to show you. Especially if you do a white one, you want this to be a combination of a light yellow and a lime green. And put some at the base of the petals, because all the white dahlias do have that light yellowish green tinge at the base of the petal. Oops, I got again something. And now all you have to do again is to make sure that they are kind of not right in here, not fully in there. And to bake it, I'm gonna have to make a little bit of a nest, because if you leave it like this is what's going to happen. These will fall, will droop, because it's a very, very thin polymer clay. So what you want to do, oh there, no, it's not. I'm looking for my masking tape, my paper tape. I have no idea what I did with it. I did something with it. Because theoretically what you do a kind of like a rope out of paper towel. And normally I put masking tape. Oh, there it is. Oh, a second. Because the masking tape is paper, so it's fine for baking. Oh, come on. To make the little ring. And before you do it, actually I made it backwards, hold on. Ugh. I hate it when I do this. Okay, this needs to be a little bit thinner. I'm cutting a piece of paper towel, so I'm going to roll it. And then you kind of need to insert it under the petals. My sitting on the chair started affecting me a little. So you want to make sure that all your petals are on top of this little ring of paper towel. Not too much, like here they were too much. And then you can bring them down a little bit. And then you can bake it properly without having your petals drooping. See, like here, this one is under, but you got the idea on how it's supposed to sit, so that you won't have your petals drooping over the brooch. And you can gently get it all back. And this is the little Dahlia brooch. And of course I will post some photos when it's done, both on Facebook and here on YouTube. Now for that tutorial, I told you that it will be a pretty neat trick, and there aren't many flowers of that kind made with, I mean, I didn't see any. It's very rarely done in sugarcraft. Most of sugarcraft is roses and lilies, but I definitely didn't see one done in polymer clay, so I'm going to do that for you. And what you need absolutely is one type of sugarcraft thing if you want to be able to do it. You can try with a ball, you know, with a ball stylus, but it's not going to work as good as with this. And then the other thing that you need for it it is a scalloped cutter, and you can find some of the cutters, they have a scalloped edge and a round edge, but you want one that is scalloped in order to make that specific flower. And I will show you how to make it, and it's really beautiful, very easy to make once you get the trick, but it's going to be gorgeous. So this is it. We finished the Dahlia brooch. I'm going to bake it. I'm going to show you how it looks like, and I shall see you next Sunday. And I finished with my house. Everything is where it should be. Hopefully nothing else happens, because there's no more Mercury retrograde. That ended on the 12th, and I didn't have any more events except for Finnegan getting fleas. Even if I used Advecta on him, I'm still furious about that. But anyway, everything is fine right now, and I shall see you all next Sunday. Don't forget to thumbs up, and if you're new, don't forget to subscribe and click on that little bell so that you'll be notified when I come on live. Okay. Oh, that is awesome. Awesome, Elaine. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful what's left of Sunday. Okay? I love you all. Goodbye.